We're live.
All right, hang on. I have advertisements playing in my ears. Hang on just a second.
And don't forget, you're typing. Usually,
Yeah,
I can hear it with the mic.
There we go. Okay. Welcome to the After Reality TV podcast. I'm Spencer Kitley.
And I'm Daniel Oler.
It was a big week in reality TV. We started getting a little summer momentum back. This week, we lead off with our thoughts on the two-night premiere of The Bachelorette, where we saw a couple of different things that we've never seen before. Also, we wrap up season 30 of Survivor, our take on that, as well as a few random reviews. All that, news, and more. Dano, it was a stellar week in reality TV. Before we get it going, where can everyone find us online?
You can hit us up on Twitter at After Reality Pod or like our Facebook page, After Reality TV Podcast.
So what's the good word, Dan?
Nothing. I'm just getting over the David Letterman retirement. I think I'm ready to move forward. So,
I haven't watched it yet, but I understand that it ran 17 minutes long, and I don't have that on my DVR.
It's all on YouTube.
So I'll have to watch it on YouTube. I recorded the last week of shows, and I haven't watched any of them yet. But
yeah,
I'll get on that.
It was the last one was really good. I think he made fun of himself. He made fun of NBC, the Tonight Show, a little bit, but I thought it was pretty good. I thought for like a ending show, it wasn't sappy. It wasn't very emotional. It was very David Letterman-ish, where it was kind of like, let's get this over with and move on.
Gotcha. Yeah, I used to watch Dave a lot a while back, but not as much of late, but definite icon in the American television world.
If you're on YouTube watching the last 17 minutes, go around and check out like all the other late night guys are saying. Those are kind of really emotional, I think.
Yeah, I saw the Fallon one. I haven't seen Kimmel, or I heard Conan did one.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, I guess David Letterman was his growing up his idol, so he kind of broke down during his tribute.
Right.
Conan owes his career to David Letterman, so
yeah. Well, both those guys encouraged viewers to go watch the Letterman show and not watch their show that was on the air at the same time.
Yeah, Conan was actually last night. Conan was telling people, he told people when his show was starting, when Letterman's show was starting, so they could switch the channel.
Yeah, and at 10:35, you're going to need to change the channel.
Yeah, so
10:35 Central, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also a big week in reality TV. We brought back one of our staples, The Bachelorette. Before we really dig in, Dan, just initial thoughts.
I thought it was okay. I kind of liked the way the shoe kind of went on the other foot, halfway through the end, the end of the first episode, where the girls, it was funny because the guys were trying to compete for the girls' attention. Then suddenly the girls started competing for the guys' attention. I thought that was kind of cool. But now I think now that this week is over, I think we're just going to kind of get into standard Bachelorette kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. I left night one myself, not super excited. It kind of actually disappointed that we didn't have a determination of who the Bachelorette was at the end of the show, which I understand that's just TV, right?
That's TV.
But I liked it a lot better after episode 2. I think we would all agree that it would be more fun if we kept 2 of them around for a long period of time.
Yeah, I agree.
But I liked it. I wish Caitlyn and Britt had maybe been a little more real with one another, like talk to each, or maybe they did, but we didn't get to see it.
I think
hey, how awkward is this kind of conversations between the 2 of them?
I think them not talking was them being real to each other. I don't think they like each other at all.
They were friends on the other show.
I don't know.
The 2 of them were both besties with Muscle Jillian.
Yeah, but I think something must have happened. But you could tell there was some iciness even before they knew what was going to happen. There was some iciness going on between us.
Is this 2 guys competing for the same position on a sports team? Hey, we're we were friends, but now this thing has driven a wedge between us?
I don't, I wonder if they were like bachelor friends where, you're stuck in a house with the same people for 3 months and you kind of like become friends, almost like work friends, right? And then like I don't know, it just felt like then they left the house and they went back to the real world and they're like, we really have nothing in common. They seem like and it could be part of the way that ABC, marketed, but they're two different people.
Okay, yeah. Well, there's no doubt about that. Two very different people. We got into the show. We got the standard little vignettes of the different people at their hometown for a sense of who they are. There was actually a lot of them this year. I thought maybe more than normal. I think at least like 7, which is quite a few of those little vignette things. We saw one.
It also seemed like people you wouldn't consider like who are going to last that long.
Yeah, well, the first one they show is Jonathan, who's got the African American guy with kind of the high top fade, and he's the first one they show. He's has a 5-year-old son. The part I did like about the vignettes is how each of the guys that they talked to told us who they were hoping the Bachelorette was. So we already kind of had this notion of where they were angling. Josh, or Tony, as you might remember him from Escape Club, he provided some uncomfortable moments of episode 1, maybe for some viewers. But we got to see him in action in his vignette.
How did he
stripping attorney?
Was that? I mean, they did all that just for a couple hours of footage. Like, I don't even understand how he got on the show.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. I mean, usually the vignettes, right, are guys that they think are slam dunks, right?
Usually, well, if not slam dunks, people who are going to last a while, Yeah,
well, I mean, they did get 6 out of the 7. Jonathan was one. Joe and his horses in Kentucky, which I kind of like that guy. Brady, well, they didn't get him. Since he asked to leave and go home, or not go home, to go pursue Britt, which I think we're going to. I saw an interview with Britt on Jimmy Kimmel, and she indicated that next week we're going to find out if her and Brady are together or things of that nature. Josh, the welder from Idaho, I think he's a contender. Ian had a nice story about his terrible accident that he had where he was a competitive runner and yada, yada, yada. And then Jared, who I was thinking when I first met this guy, well, I thought 2 things. He's got this alter ego superhero love man, which I thought was totally toolish. And he has like the worst patchy 18-year-old kid's beard. But I thought he was like Normcore Nick when I met him. Come to find out, we're going to see a lot more Normcore Nick.
Like, how does that even happen? It's like, so now it's the kind of thing where people can just come out of it, the woodworks.
Well, we saw 2 seasons ago, right? That the Bachelorette has to say yes, right? Because Bukowski tried to pull it with Andy Dorfman. She said, "Nah, hit it."
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, how much is this ABC and how much is this, or not ABC, but the Bachelorette producers, and how much is this?
I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty good gauge of like people and like and for this show, like who's a good looking dude or not. I don't see Nick Vialli or whatever his name is and be like, man, that's a really handsome guy. He's just a dude. So I don't know. I know we weren't fans of him on his last go around, but I think he's going to be in it, all up in it, loving it strong.
Well, they should do Bachelor second chances, and so like maybe the next like Bachelorette, it could all be like former Bachelorette contestants.
I think they already do this show, Dan. It's called Bachelor in Paradise.
Okay.
First guy we met was Ben H. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you drafted him pretty high when we had our Fantasy for Reality.com draft.
Yeah, I think both the Bens. I did a Ben handcuff.
Oh, you got the big buff Ben, and then the more demure kind of nice guy Ben.
It's easier for me to follow along if I know I have all the Bens. I'm like, okay. Because then I spend half the time like, is Ben H on my team or your team, or do you have Ben Z? Do I have Ben H? So I've come to a point where I just like drafting people who have the same names.
Do you have the Corey handcuffs?
I don't know. Do I?
I don't know. Do you? Actually, no.
I think I wanted the Corey handcuffs, but I think you took a Corey. Yeah, I think you took them. Did you take a Corey first? And then
I liked the Corey with the E in his name. So anyhow, the first 6 dudes that hop out of limo when the limos arrive, they all go to Britt. And to me, it's like, all right, let's load up all the guys that they like Britt and put them in one limo. And Caitlin is not really into it. She's a little surprised. Caitlin really put off by Josh coming out and doing the striptease, saying you can have them to Britt.
I don't know. I mean, is that the kind of first impression you want to make? Is like,
yeah, to me, like Caitlin seems kind of like the free spirit chick that would be like, oh, okay, hey, yeah, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
But a little more to her than I guess we thought. But Sean B was the highlight of the whole episode for me as far as like rising to the top. This guy comes out. He's dynamic with both of them. They're both intrigued. He's a handsome guy. Everybody in the media thinks he looks like Ryan Gosling. Maybe overstepping a little bit. He's a much bigger guy than Ryan Gosling. But I was a big Sean B fan after episode 1. I had my pick of Clint back before we started the thing. I can't remember who you. I think you jokingly picked yours. One of yours was the stripper guy. I can't remember who the other was.
No, yeah, I can't remember. Check out last week's episode, though.
Yeah, well, we could check out who you drafted number 1 in the draft. That might be who your number 1 thought was. Mine was Clint. Anyhow, let's talk Ryan M. Dan. Ryan M. pulled the old popular move. There's always one. There's usually never more than one, though. Really slammered people on night 1.
I was gonna. So you said there was only one, right? And got me thinking of like, do you think the producers like? I think the show is heavily produced.
You think they're like roofing up one person or something?
But I'm like, they're like, hey, let's be honest. You're not gonna win this thing. We'll give you $500 if you get totally wasted. He's like, okay. He's like, hey, they're like, FYI, you are not getting a rose tonight. So we'll give you a couple $100 just to get wasted and make good TV.
Yeah, well, there's a difference in getting wasted and then this guy's just a total dick, Dan.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he got totally wasted. And I think he wasn't blacked out, passed out. I think he was just blacked out. Like his body was moving, but his mind was off. Like have you ever been like that before where you woke up the next morning and your friends were like, and you were like, your friends are like, you thought your night ended at 10 o'clock, but it really ended at midnight, and your friends had to fill in the next 2 hours for you.
Yeah. So do you know who
happened to him?
Do you know who Ryan M is?
I do not know who Ryan M is.
Ryan M is the ex-boyfriend of Nikki Farrell of Juan Pablo fame.
See,
Nikki really picked some winners.
Wow.
So let's go through Ryan M's evening. He's drunk enough that while the guys are still arriving, he goes outside, sits down, and then verbally berates amateur sex coach Sean E., yelling and telling him he sucks as he arrives in his hot tub car, which is obviously an easy target, but still, let the guy have his moment.
Okay, first, before we move on, how did they not explain in further detail what an amateur sex coach is? Well, and B, why did he come into this carpool It made no sense whatsoever. They just kind of like, oh yeah, he's in a carpool, and they just kind of like went on. They didn't like address it or like, I mean, they're like, why is he in a carpool?
Well, we did hear him talk about, did mention anal towards the end of the episode with one of the ladies.
Wasn't it like in the after clip or whatever?
Or
like,
maybe it was the after clip where it's like,
in the
yeah, well, I help people like if they're having trouble with this or with toys or whatever. It's like, what a bizarre dude. But I don't want to stray too far from Ryan M though.
Yeah, I know, but those two things kind of bugged me the whole night. Like, let's find out what he means by amateur sex coach, and let's talk about this carpool and why he did it. They didn't cover any of that.
Yeah, well, I will say every time that Sean Ease came on the screen with his font, I pretty much read amateur sex coach and laughed out loud just about every time.
I know. That's why we need to talk about, like, what does he mean by this?
Oh, well, and Sean Eade ends up, once they get inside, getting into kind of a verbal war with Ryan M. And
he was frustrated. And
then Ryan M goes on and starts calling the girls hoes. He even tries to grab Caitlin's ass. And then to this guy, JJ, who seems like a pretty stand-up dude, at least so far, tells him, quote, "Why am I not raping you right now?"
That was like his go-to line, right? Like he wanted to like rape the girls. He wanted to rape the dudes.
I mean, whose vocabulary has that phrase in it?
That's why I think he was just like totally like I really do think he was like blacked out, but still still moving. Like I don't think he knows what was going on.
So on Tuesday night this week, Chris Harrison was a guest on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. And he was talking about how when he had to get the security guy to go get him. And then when he got outside, he said he actually told the security guy, he's like, if he tries to fight me, let him hit me twice before you break it up because it'll be good on television.
That would have been really good television.
And when he approaches him, Ryan M goes, "Oh, is Chris Hansen out here from To Catch a Predator?" instead of Chris Harrison, which I thought was kind of funny. But we obviously saw the kind of state that Ryan M was in during this evening. Some other why did Chris, Chris is the dentist who I ended up liking in the episode, shows up in this candy corn covered cupcake cart.
Again, they didn't explain it. He just kind of showed up in it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's in the cupcake cart," and then that was it.
It's like they have a bin of toys outside, and they're like, "All right, guys, anybody want to use any of these?"
And he made like some stupid joke. He's like, "Even though I'm a dentist, I have a sweet," he's like, "I'll let you have some sugar or something like that." It was stupid, but I was like, one season like the limo entrances were like way overdone. There was too many, right? And now they just have these random things, but at least kind of explain what you mean by a guy driving up with a car filled with water, please. It really ruined my night. Like they didn't talk about that.
Ruined your night. Wow.
I didn't sleep Monday night.
Let me get you some melatonin, Dan.
Yeah.
So after the cars, I'm giving the rose to Sean B after the cars. But then once we get inside, my guy Clint, who was a fan of preseason, he kind of reaffirms himself as to me as at least my preseason number one, for no other reason than he has this sketch drawing of Chris Harrison riding a Triceratops, which was a pretty good sketch, I thought. He's sharing, others are sharing, and it's not too long but before Chris Harrison comes in and he drops this voting booth bomb on everybody. And Tony, the guy who's a healer, which I now know also includes massage therapy based on what we saw with him. This guy didn't even hang around. It's like, I'm going down there, I'm voting right now.
Well, that's good. I mean, he made his decision, so no one was going to convince him otherwise.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, we didn't see a whole lot else there on night one. One of my takeaways was JJ, he indicates that Britt is the hottest woman he's ever spoken to in his life. That's a pretty big statement, Dan.
I think it was a made-for-TV statement.
Pretty big statement.
Yeah. Well, what else? What are you going to say? Like, you're hoping that she's going to hear him say that.
Right.
Or maybe he is. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what his. I doubt it, but maybe that is. I did like the fact you could tell, like, Britt was, like, trying to talk to guys that she had no interest in whatsoever. And trying to get, like, hey, like, you could tell, like, guys she totally blew off. And probably before she kind of went back. She's like, oh, we didn't have time to talk before. I really want to get to know you. And you're like, whatever, Britt. Britt's, something about Britt kind of rubs me wrong, where you could just tell, like, she was, it was fun to watch her lose all the power.
Yeah. I actually like Britt and Caitlyn both. But Britt was very obviously into this Brady guy who ends up leaving the show for former player in the Cardinals organization, and that was really it to night one. We left off on night one with all these girls just freaking out while they wait for a rose in a box.
Now, we still sold this is the best thing to do is just take former losers from The Bachelor and make them bachelorettes. Like, you said you like Britt and Caitlyn, but
I'm not saying I necessarily like them as the Bachelorette. I'm just saying I like them.
But are we still sold on this is the best way to move forward with these franchises? Like, looking at
I don't. Have we ever been sold on that?
No. And it gets. I mean, it's funny if you think about like where we were, 5-6 months ago when we were getting towards the end of, and not that long, I guess, a couple of months ago at the end of the Bachelor.
When we couldn't pick a Bachelorette.
And we were like, oh God, one of these 4 chicks we're gonna have to pay attention to for 10 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, and really, last season with Chris Soules, it wasn't a fantastic season, but it was the best season we've had in like 4 seasons of the 2 shows, right?
Yeah. So now I'm looking at these guys. I'm like, oh God, which one of these guys is gonna be the next Bachelor? I'm like, oh, we'll see.
That's a good question. We could tee that one up really early in the season. If I'm saying it, if he doesn't win it, it's Sean B. From right now. But he may reveal himself to be not the person that I think he is. But they're on night 2.
I think they should give it to Ryan M. Like, why not? Like, let's just have some fun with it.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan M makes himself appear on the summer Bachelor in Paradise. Anyhow, right off the bat, Chris Harrison and with Britt, it was very stern when he delivered the news to her, and I really wanted her to get the news in public. I didn't want her to get it privately. I wanted her to get it in front of the group so you could see everyone's reactions.
But you understand, Spencer, out of the respect for the process and that people here are trying to find love, that you really just don't. That sounds like something that Chris Harrison would say. He's like,
Britt, unfortunately, you are not going to be the Bachelorette. It says the vote was very close, though. So does that mean you have a room half room full of guys that are standing there pissed off?
I don't know, because I caught this when he was talking to her. First, he said by a majority, the guys picked Caitlyn, but then he said the vote was really close. So what does he mean by that?
Well, there was at least one more vote for Caitlyn.
Yeah, but is that a majority? 51% to 49%? Is that a majority?
It is. There's 2 different types of majority, I believe. I can't remember what the terminology is, but yeah, when there's only 2 people and one person wins, it's a majority.
Yeah, but when I think majority, I think like 2/3 of the Senate need to pass a rule or whatever, or like, that kind of thing. So like 66%.
Does not take an act of Congress to make Bachelor level decisions.
I know, but he made it. It was in the same sentence. It was like it was a majority, but it was very close. So you're like, I don't know.
Then Chris goes to Caitlyn as well. Very stern with her, and he tries to trick her into thinking she's not the Bachelorette.
It's called
but
building suspense.
how many times did she say, "I'm so excited, I think I'm going to throw up"?
I'm not quite sure.
At least 3 times. That's not something that I usually say when I'm excited. I'm so excited, I'm going to throw up.
Oh, real quick, back to our Ryan M discussion because it leads into what we're talking about.
Bring it on.
Ryan M. We talked about, and my theory that he might have got paid to get drunk. Like I was like, when he was voting, I was like, how awesome would it be that his vote would be the difference? He gets kicked off, but his vote would be the difference in who got picked. But then he didn't. He didn't vote. So that made me think that there was something fishy going on, that he didn't vote at all.
I wonder if the vote results are on the line.
I bet they don't want to do that, because what if the guy she ends up picking voted for Britt?
It could happen.
Yeah.
It could happen. It could be that Jared guy, and he was already up front about it, which I thought was a pretty bold move, but good for him. Anyhow, let's move on a little bit. Largely, the guys seem excited in that group environment when she's announced. However, definite mixed feelings. We see a number of things flow through there. Of course, like I just said, Jared comes clean, says, "Hey, I wanted it to be Britt, but I still want to see where this goes." Others are more excited. Others are sharing. There's I've already lost track of how many dads there are on the show. I think there's at least 3. There's Jonathan and JJ, and I believe there's one other one, but this JJ guy, he comes out guns blazing. Seems confrontational at first, but then she ends up eating this guy up. He has her eaten out of his hand. And she says, quote, "I'm super into him right now." Big statement night one. Mm-hmm. At least it seems so at that time, until she's really into the dentist Chris and is on board with making out with him on night 1. 2 seasons in a row now, we've seen kissing on night 1, which we'd never seen before in the previous, however, 20 some odd combined seasons.
I got a feeling Caitlin's going to have a lot of kissing.
Yeah, considering she's already she moved on from the dentist to crushing on Sean B, who she gives the first impression rose to, and they two are also making out. And
hey, good times.
I mean, we'll talk about it in a moment. Did you watch the scenes for the season?
I did.
I know. For me, that was a MTV Challenge level trailer. I was excited after watching that trailer.
Which means nothing's going to happen.
Hey, that's your show, man. Don't talk bad about your show.
I know. I love the show, but their trailers sometimes then you watch the season, you're like, half that stuff didn't even happen in the season.
That's why we need an extra half-hour show each week to let us know what happened. So, Rose's time. I always like to document who gets the first rose. This first episode, it was Chris, the dentist, who had made out with her. Ben H., who I think we both agreed was probably in the mix. And then JJ, who she's super into. Those were the first 3 guys called out. We saw Ryan M. had already gone home. Brady interrupted the rose ceremony. Chris Harrison said, "Hey, I'd love to connect you with Britt." Takes him away. And then this scrubby guy, Jared, who had said, "Hey, I had picked Britt," which at that point in time, I'm sure ABC said, "Okay, if you're going to give him a rose, you need to make him last." And he was. Shawnee, the amateur sex coach, David, who we knew nothing about, Bradley, who we knew nothing about, and stripper Josh were the Exeters on night 1, along with Brady and Ryan M. But for me, the scenes from the season, fairly early on, it looks like Caitlin knocks the boots with somebody.
Hey, it's part of getting, if you're going to marry someone, you got to test drive the car.
And then we see her telling a room that has at least 3 other people in it that it's happened. Those 3 people were Jared, Nick Vialli, and Ben H. Whenever it happens, at least those 3 guys are being told about it. Doesn't specify if one of those guys is that guy.
What if it was Nick? Right? Didn't Nick bang boots with
Andy?
Yeah. What if there's something about him and there's like chicks just like dig him?
Well, Dan, guess what? Reason. The rumors all over the internet are that guy is Nick.
Those are the rumors. You know, is it like chicks for some reason always like are attracted to like the weird guy? You're like, what is that? Why does anyone date him? Wouldn't that be awesome? Maybe there's something about it.
Maybe he's just like a seducer or something. I don't know.
If it's Nick, I'm gonna start calling him the deal closer.
Once we find he's the closer.
He's the closer. That's right. He's the closer.
He's the stopper, the showstopper. Like Shawn Michaels, the showstopper. But I mean, these scenes, they look like a teary mess for the season. I saw Brady going to meet Britt. Then my DVR cut off at the end, so I'm hoping we get a little glimpse into that in the coming week. Pretty tight battle so far over on fantasyforreality.com for our ARTV Bachelorette season. My Cock of the Walk squad with a 580-point performance led by Sean B. Dan's strong performance with 2 girls, not 1 cup, but 1 rose, 400 points. But Dan, you made it through episode 1, lost 1 dude. I lost 4. Congrats.
Yeah, I mean, it all evens out. It's kind of like the tides. So,
but does it all even out?
Yeah, we tend to see this in these things where, you know, you'll probably come back and win it. So who knows?
Yeah, well, and you after episode 1, I already said, hey, Sean B has kind of moved into the driver's seat for me. Do you have a leader in the clubhouse after episode 1?
Not really. I mean, I don't think any of those guys really. They didn't impress me. You know, I'm not handing out roses. Maybe the cupcake guy, that Chris.
The dentist.
Yeah.
I like the dentist.
I think I need one more episode to really kind of figure this out.
Yeah. So anyhow, visit our friends over at fantasyforreality.com if you like The Bachelorette. Also check out our friends over at joust.com, some cool gaming over there as well. Let's go ahead and jump into Survivor. And while we're on the topic, just so you know, Dan, the insurmountable was overcome in Fantasy for Reality last night.
No, did you win?
I scored 1,800 points on the finale to oust you by 150 points.
Oh, wow.
That's impressive.
That was.
That's a big I was down by like 1,500 or more points, I think. Or maybe closer to 2,000 at some point in time. So don't knock the hustle. But yeah. So we had the 2-hour finale plus the hour reunion, which the reunion's not even really necessary for Survivor since they tell you who won in the first 5 minutes of the reunion.
Well, the reunion is Chris. Yeah, I hate how they did it.
It's Jeffy P's hour, man. Let Jeffy P take it and run with it.
Well, because we saw how well he did when you gave him an hour on a daily basis. So.
He's really good at hosting Survivor, though, I think. I mean, because he not only hosts, he does play-by-play. He's kind of a character also.
He did make a joke like one of these weeks where they're trying. When they're trying to solve. Maybe it was last week when they were trying to solve that puzzle, and it took him forever to figure it out. He's like, I only say 200 words on this show every season. So, he even called himself out where he kind of says the same thing all the time.
Sometimes I like it when he harasses the contestants. Other times I'm like, cut him some slack, dude.
Yeah.
I know we talk about this all the time, and I've been a little down on Survivor a little bit, and you're always somewhat down or more than somewhat down on it. For me, the last at least 6 weeks of this season, I really enjoyed. I think for me, that was because I developed a rooting interest for Mike Holloway, and in the past few seasons, if I had a rooting interest, they were voted out really early because they were strong players, which Mike managed to slip through the cracks and then really perform on this show and get to the end. I mean, I just overall impressed with his performance for me.
Yeah, I mean, he did a good job. He was like a one man. I mean, he really had no alliances, even though he, did his best. He won how many in a row? Like how many immunity challenges? He won a ton of them towards the end. Where if he would have lost a single challenge, he would have been eliminated.
Yeah, I think he won 4 in a row and 5 out of 6 because he used the idol that 1 week.
Yeah, so he would have. He did. I mean, it's impressive what he did. There's no doubt about that. I had a question, and I don't know. I can't remember what happened, but did at one point someone give him a fake idol? Joe?
No, Joe tried to. Yeah, Joe was trying to save himself, trying to give someone a fake idol, and they're like, "No, this is a fake idol, dude."
Oh, okay. I was like, I kept thinking, I was like, what if he played that fake idol? And I wanted to see that. I wanted to see where Jeff Probst's like, oh, that's not a real idol.
Yeah. So I looked it up last night, though. Mike is one of only, I think, 5 players that have won 5 individual immunity challenges on a single season.
Good for him.
It was pretty good. And I liked Mike. I felt like Mike really was loyal to his people, and they either to a fault of his own or to them just changing their minds, they kind of turned away from him. And ultimately that probably helped him win the game by them turning away from him to a certain extent. Nobody there could beat him. As far as votes, he could have gone into the final with any 2 people that were there except for Tyler and won the thing.
Yeah, I mean, out of that, I guess it was just for me a weird season. There wasn't really anyone to cheer for. I mean, even Mike was like, I feel like when you're cheering for, especially on this show, like you're either want to cheer for the bad guy or the good guy. And Mike wasn't. I mean, no one here was really that bad or that good. Mike was okay. I mean, yeah, he was alone and by himself, but he wasn't a bad guy. He just kind of picked the wrong. He chose his allegiances differently. Dan, I guess, was the baddest of the bad guys, but was he that bad or anything? Like, he didn't really do anything mean.
Yeah, well, see, I really dislike Dan and Rodney for the 2 reasons. I feel like Dan, for some reason, thought he was better than everyone else or entitled to something when he hadn't done anything. And then I thought Rodney was just a little whiner that wanted to whine about everything. And I love that Jeff Probst called him out about, you got to be on national television and compete in this really cool game, and I'm sorry you had to have the world's worst birthday ever.
Yeah.
But those again, 2 guys, I really didn't like. I genuinely was cheering for Mike. Like, he would win a competition, I'd be like, yes.
But were you cheering for Mike because he was like I don't know. I just felt like he was the best of the worst almost. I felt maybe. I don't know.
When a guy shows up wearing Texas board shorts on a TV show, and as long as he's not a total jerk, I'm going to root for the guy.
Yeah, he's from Dallas, though. I don't know if you can really.
I'm rooting for. Well, Dan, I still like you, and you're from Houston, so that's even worse.
I don't think. No way.
Way worse. That's for our geography podcast. But And yeah, we're going to see how many of these people got renewed for the new one. Shireen did. Joe did. I didn't realize how popular Joe apparently is. And was it anybody else from the current season that got re-ups? I don't think so. Some people that we've seen recently, Cass and Keith, Kelly Wentworth, my boy Wu, Tasha, who competed really well a couple seasons ago. But the guy that I'm really excited about, or probably the people I'm most excited about, are Wu, and then Kelly Wigglesworth, who's now 37 years old after being on season 1 and finishing as the runner-up. I'm looking forward to seeing what she can put together. And somehow, Dan, I don't know how, I've kind of become a Shireen fan. That's weird, I know. I don't know. I guess I felt bad for her when she was getting attacked, and at the same time, she kind of also took up with Mike all the time, and Mike was my boy. So interesting. What do you think? What do you think of her saying that by the age of 30, she had made her first $1 million?
What?
You didn't hear her say that?
No, no. What do I think by that?
I was surprised that I thought she was just like a product manager at Yahoo.
Yeah, but does Yahoo? I mean, you go to Yahoo. Those people pay like awesome money, but you got to remember she lives in California. So I don't know if that really means a lot. I think it's just different. I mean, it's a lot of money.
Okay, but I guess she did say she made $1 million. She wasn't saying I make $1 million per year.
Yeah, I think she could. It's not that hard to work at a company like Yahoo and make $1 million for if you work there for 5 or 6 years. But I think her rent, you got to remember, she's probably paying $5,000 a month in some housing expenses.
Right.
So
interesting note on this new season. Only 3 players, I think, maybe 4, under the age of 30. So a bit older of a cast, of course, is kind of to be expected with returners.
Yes.
But a lot of people in their mid 30s or even late 30s. So
40s. Some people in their 40s.
Oh well, yeah. There's plenty of those. There's 3 or 4 of them in their 50s. So could be an interesting concept. I like some of the cast members, so we'll see what shakes out with that. But for the first time in a long time, I was satisfied with Survivor, which I know doesn't happen often for you, but it hadn't happened for me in a little while.
So we both agree that we haven't been satisfied in a long time with Survivor.
But I was this season.
This season.
I liked it a lot. I liked the characters. They kind of had to grow on me. It took me about halfway through the season, and then I started liking them.
Okay, so was it a top 5 season?
I've probably seen a little more than half of them, probably. So out of the ones that I've seen, yeah, borderline top 5 for me.
So top 10?
Top 10 overall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go top 10 overall, but I mean, I can't say that definitively because I haven't seen them. Allegedly, the best one is the one that Kim Spradlin won 6 or 7 years ago that I didn't watch, which is ironic because she actually went to my high school. So, anyhow, Survivor will be back in the fall with some familiar faces. We're going to skip over Shaw's and Southern Charm for the week because I admittedly had not watched them. I did have a chance to watch something for a random review, Dan, that I'm sure you've watched before. I've never really watched it. I finally watched Naked and Afraid.
Okay, I've seen a couple episodes.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. I think maybe I got lucky and the 2 people were likable on the episode. I could see where not every episode is quote created equal. Kind of a younger girl with a really great attitude, but lacking in survival skills.
Mm-hmm.
And then a really like trained woodsman survival guy who's probably in his mid 40s. And she ended up getting really sick right away.
Did she die?
No, the guy kind of carries the weight, and she kind of starts coming back around, and they made it through the thing. They made it through their time. They made it to the rally point to get out of there. I enjoyed it. They had some nourishment. I just can't. I understand when you're out in the woods and you're in that environment and you need to drink water and you boil it and so you can kill everything that's in it, but it's got to be so hard to drink just that muddy water. That's got to be a hard mental thing to overcome.
Yeah, just think about like what's in it, and like if it goes wrong, it goes wrong quickly. Like, you know,
right,
and then your weekend is ruined.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I know what boiling does. I'd be boiling it for a long time before I drank it.
Yeah.
They said 10 minutes does the trick, but I don't know what clock they were checking while they were out there.
The couple episodes I've seen, it's kind of the same concept where like one person kind of like fades out and another person has to kind of carry the load. It's not always the male or the female. It's, you know, I've seen where males kind of peter out and the female has to kind of do a lot of the leg work and everything like that. So it seems like you had the same experience that I have.
Yeah, so I think I may actually watch it a little bit more. I know I'm 2 or 3 years late to the game. What?
I don't think it's that old. I think it might be.
I think this is the 3rd season.
It's the 3rd season. Yeah, but I think it might be. Who knows? But it could be a year, 18 months old.
Right. You pick up on anything random for this week?
No, but I got a couple of things on the platter for next week. So next time we do a podcast.
You want to tease them?
Well, did you see the previews for this show on NBC's The Island?
I have the DVR set for it.
Yeah, so do I. It'd be interesting to see how that is. It looks like Survivor, but like real Survivor.
Like Survivor mixed with Naked and Afraid.
Yeah, exactly. But it's all dudes. Did you just see that? Like that's kind of weird.
I did see that. I need to resolve some recording conflicts to make sure it records. I had something conflicting with it. You said a couple things.
Naked and Afraid. Just real quick, Naked and Afraid appeared on June 23rd, 2013. So less than 2 years ago.
Okay.
So.
This
is the 4th season actually.
Oh, okay. Do you have another?
Only 29 episodes.
Do you have another show you were teeing us up on, Encyclopedia of Naked and Afraid?
Not yet, but I think a couple of summer things will pop up. We're kind of that weird summertime where they try the crazy shows that they're like, no one wants to watch these. So
yeah, I feel like I have a couple different things queued up.
I'm still waiting for Summer Camp 2. Are they doing that?
Summer Camp 2. Well, I do have this one show queued up to record. It's actually on Lifetime, but it's scripted. Dana Gordon from Entourage is the star. It's called Unreal. I think it's a scripted show about reality TV business or something like that. I'm not real sure what it is. I'm just gonna check that out. And I feel like I queued up something else the other day, but while I was watching Naked and Afraid, I think maybe I watched Naked and Afraid one night, and then I was flipping the channels the next day, or flipped the TV on, and this other show was on called Sons of Winter on Discovery. And it's these people in rural Saskatchewan, Canada, and they live off the grid. It's this guy with this big ginger beard and his 3 sons. 2 of them are high school, early college type age. The other is like probably early high school, middle school age. And they live out in the woods, and it's obviously very cold and snowy. That's the winter. And then I didn't say the name of the show. It's called Sons of Winter. And it's pretty interesting. they are pelt collectors, and they sell the pelts of the animals to provide ammunition and gasoline. Those are their only two commodities they really need. I mean, they do buy clothes, but it's the three boys and the father, who's the kind of expert outdoorsman, their mother, and then they have this guy who's not really their grandpa, but his name's Grandpa Grizz. And the part I find interesting is the two older boys, apparently in this area, it's a rite of passage if you are living off the grid to, once you're a certain age, you go off for 90 days during the winter to survive on your own. Of course, there's little cabins from hunters in years past scattered around the place, and they have a snowmobile and guns and chainsaws and stuff, but they're out on their own. And so then that leaves this young boy at home trying to help his dad, and his dad's accustomed to the older boys helping, and the young boy is not quite as helpful. I like it, and I actually just watched another episode of it last night. The young boy goes out to help with the traps, and they split up, and he gets lost in this just massive thing they call the bog. And you can tell that the producers broke down the fourth wall. You could hear the producers talking to him. You could see the producers, and the producers were worried. They're like, the kid's building a shelter and a fire for himself, and they're like, "What are you going to do to get us out of here?" They end up getting rescued, but like just right before it's too late and it's dark. So I don't know. You might like this show, Dan. I don't know. It's kind of a little bit out there, but it's kind of survivalist, kind of family oriented. But I like the dad. He's pretty hardcore. He's taught all these kids all these different tricks how to fix things, and it's impressive how they've learned that, and they can fix a flat tire with a blowtorch, and they can fix the gears that have come undone from one another on the snowmobile with a stick and a hammer. I don't know. I dig it. You or our listeners, check it out. Sons of Winter on Discovery Channel. The Barks family.
Like barks, like the root beer?
Barks like a dog barks.
Oh, okay.
So, it's pretty interesting that people, I mean, we're so urbanized that people live their life like this. They don't have phones. They have walkie-talkies. They don't have a TV.
It makes you wonder why they don't leave. Like, you don't have to live like that.
Yeah, well, and the dad's like, we need to find 3 girls that are willing to live like this for our boys, and the mom's like, good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, it's like, why? I get tradition and it's what they do. I get that, and that's part of the discussion. But the other part is like, you don't have to live like in the snow and cold and sell pelts. You could do other stuff. There's many things you can do.
There's obviously a town they go to sell those pelts, right?
Oh, yeah. Why don't you open a shop or something? I don't know. It's just funny, like how people, there's other opportunities for you out there.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the beginning of the season or maybe it's a series, so I don't know the background on the lifestyle. Anyhow, those are it's not often I have 2 random reviews, but there they are, 2 random reviews for the week. Any reality TV news for you, Dano?
Did you watch any of the Kardashian stuff this week? The
Bruisers? No,
yeah,
I have them recorded. I haven't gotten to watch them. Anything solid there?
The best part was him and Scott like talking about it. It was all staged and everything, but they don't have the best relationship in the world. Scott.
Well, I did hear about this, I think. Go ahead.
Like Scott, they were just kind of talking. Like Scott's like, "So why are you doing this?" He's like, and then like he's like, "So you still gonna be like athletic and everything like that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll still play golf." And he's like, "I'm going through a lot just to play from the lady tees." So that made me laugh. But you could tell like Scott didn't want to. Scott's like, I don't really care. But you could tell that like the producers almost made them talk. And he was like, okay, like, we don't really have a relationship. I don't know why we're here talking, but let's talk. It was pretty painful. But that was probably the funniest line of the whole evening. The funny thing is, like, Bruce is taking this very, like, lighthearted, like, this is, like, what he wants to do. And he's like, he just, like, it's funny, like, Bruce doesn't see, like, why people are concerned or, like, what's going on. He's like, yeah, this is what's happening, and blah blah blah, and this is why I'm doing this, and this is the way I'm going to be. And everyone else is like, I mean, so is there like a date? What's happening? Does she have a date? What's going on? Like surgeries? He's like, I don't know, it'll happen. He was like, he's very nonchalant about this whole process.
Right. Yeah, I had read that there was I guess I don't know if it was on that show or not, where Scott had relayed to Bruce, he was like, this is why we've had such trouble connecting, isn't it?
Yeah, he talked about that because there's like, he felt like there was something, like, because Scott has his own issues he's dealing with, right? And he kind of keeps it internalized. And he felt that Bruce has his issues that he kept internalized. And maybe if they both talked about their internalized issues, that they would have like a common ground.
Right. Have you seen the news that I was never a Catfish fan, but Nev from Catfish selling his chest hair for $20,000.
Good for him. Good for him.
Who would buy that?
Someone, I don't know. Like the people who get cat. Like, have you ever watched Catfish?
Maybe once or twice.
It's people you're like, okay, I guess. You're like, I hope you guys have fun. It's just people you just don't care about, and you're like, this is probably the highlight of their life is them catfishing someone. So that probably falls within that line somewhere.
Yeah. So our boy Jax Taylor got another nose job.
Congrats to him.
Yeah,
congrats. Mazel tov, Jax.
Started posting his first post-op photos on social media. Vale, she's dating Chris Pine, the actor.
Oh, wow. No, hopefully she does.
And the Vanderpump crew is filming season 4.
That was my joy, my sound of excitement.
And it will not include Stassi Schroeder.
My God, she wasn't really included in the last season, so
yeah, that's my scoop on what's going on in reality land. If you don't have anything else, let's stitch this thing up.
Stitch it up. I think it's been a good week.
Yeah, before we do, let them know where they can find us on the interwebs one last time.
You hit us up Twitter at After Reality Pod, or like our Facebook page, the After Reality TV Podcast.
And your Twitter name?
At Daniel Ohler, Oehler.
You can find me at Spencer K11. We're going to try really hard to do a show next week. I'm traveling a little bit, but maybe we'll bring you a little weekender episode or something like that. But until then, we remind you, we like bears and Mexican food right here on the After Reality TV Podcast.